And I was scrolling through Twitter the other day and I came across this picture from Seesaw. And I started thinking about all of the changes that they have made this year to what was already a really powerful app for teachers and students. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I love Seesaw for many reasons. One is because it's powerful across all platforms. Another is that it really stresses creation from children and is really student focused. And I love that about the app. But with some of these changes, another thing that I like about it now is that if you're a teacher that didn't want to have to learn 5, 6, 7 different apps in your classroom and be able to use them all or have your kids use them all, Seesaw has really made some changes that allow you to use it as your go-to app. The thing that if you just want one app to use, it can pretty much do it all now. Now, out of all these things that they've added, there are two things, multi-page support and drafts, that are part of the premium version or the paid version. I'll remind you about that when I get to those and tell you a little bit more about those, but everything else I'm going to show you is free. Okay? And by the way, I'm going to talk about this one just because I'll forget it otherwise. So annotating PDFs, I know a lot of teachers that like to use Google Docs, Google Classroom, along with Seesaw, especially Google Slides. Google Slides allows you to maybe make a template for your students, where now you can annotate over those, which you could not do before. So I just want to mention that because otherwise I know I'd forget it. So let me go ahead and go into the Seesaw app, and then I'm going to tap on the plus button here and pretend that I'm adding a new post. So one of the changes they made, when you go to the drawing part of the app, they allow you now to add more than one picture to make collages and things like that. So why don't we start there with the camera? So you can take a live picture or you can upload something. So let me go down here and I will go to landforms, and so I can add up to 10 pictures to one creative space. I can resize them, pretty much anything you could do on any other kind of a collage type app. I know I used Pic Collage for a long time, but this was nice as a way that I didn't have to app smash. I could just have my kids use this, just use Seesaw by itself. One way I used this the other day is I had my kids go on a quadrilateral hunt around the classroom, and because they can put multiple pictures and move them around, super easy to put them all in one space. Also for teachers who like to do sorts of different kinds, really useful for that as well. So there is the way the pictures have changed. The text feature right up here, it's very similar to what it was before. Let me show you a couple things that changed. Okay, so there's some quick change buttons right here. So if you tap right there, it takes away the text box. Okay, the middle one here brings the text box back. The next one over will reverse the text. And by the way, any of these you can change the colors right over here just by sliding the color slider, and there you go. The paint palette here, that gives you some basic fonts that you can change to, centering options. And then finally, there are the 3 dots. And the 3 dots allow you to lock the text box in place, which by the way, you can do these with pictures as well. Looks the same. Bring to front and bring to back, which let me just show you what that would mean. Let's say that your text was going behind like this. If you just tap on that bring to front, there you go. So it allows you to order things and layer them. Okay, and then there's duplicate and delete. Okay, so really nice. The microphone is very similar to what it was before. The one thing they changed that I love is that when your kids are done recording or you're done recording, it'll give you a space to listen to it all. And if you don't like it, there's a button right below it that says re-record. So I like this because it lets kids really think about whether or not they did a good job and reflect, and they can easily record again. And then finally down here, the 3 dots down here, they added some nice new things. There are shapes that are built right in. Okay, so I can add any of these shapes, change colors, move them around, all the same options you did with the pictures. All right, really nice shapes in there. And then backgrounds. So I like the backgrounds because I can use these for graphs or for writing on my board, things like that. The kids like them just to just kind of spunk up their pictures a little bit. I know we use these when I get to multi-page, I'll show you this, but we use these now to create books. And so my kids want them to look a little more polished, and that background does that for you. All right, so let's look down here at all of the creative tools down here. There is a glow pen that they've added. There we go, and you can change the colors on that. I know my kids like that almost too much. There's the highlighter, which is my personal favorite. By the way, on any of these, if you tap more than once, it'll bring up a menu where you can make the line thicker or thinner. Okay, but I like this highlighter because I have my kids searching through books sometimes, or searching through maybe a sort or a word that I put in here. It allows them to highlight words they've found and talk about them without having to circle them all. It's just such a nice thing to have. Also, by the way, I love to take a picture of some work that I'm doing with the class. Maybe I'm doing a whole class lesson. I can take a picture on my iPad of the worksheet or the page and put it right in here to this creative space. And I can highlight things. I can point at them. I can move them all as I walk around my classroom, which I have an Apple TV that allows me to do that. So I just like that too. It's just a nice way to show things on the board. The other pens are the same. There's a pencil here, and there's the Move tool. And the Move tool allows you to simply be able to move pictures, text, things around. Okay? All right. So let's skip up here to the top. This is the pan and zoom button. Now what this is let's say that you're trying to go paperless in your classroom and you have a worksheet. Okay, so you have some kind of worksheet you want the kids doing. Well, the problem with the worksheets is that, and I'm going to add another page here so we can have a blank canvas, is that the worksheets can be teeny tiny, right? Like let's say they had a bunch of math problems. And when you have them all on here, they might be this small. And there might be tons of them. Now, of course, the problem with this is that your kids can't write this tiny with their fingers, or if they're on a Chromebook, by using their trackpad. So what the pan and zoom does is when you tap on it once, you'll see it brings up a little mini window. If you tap on this plus button, it zooms into a certain area of the screen. Now, if I move that with my finger, there we go, it makes that portion of the screen much larger. So now my kids can just write as normal, zoom back out, or they can move down to the next question. And at the end, they zoom back out, tap on that plus button again, it'll get rid of that. And so you see how it allowed me to write teeny tiny. So the pan and zoom is just so great for worksheets and things like that, or sometimes for artwork if kids are really trying to zoom in on something to do some fine work. All right, the next one, what it does is it will get rid of all your tools. So if you're looking for a full screen space to move around labels, to make pictures, things like that, what this allows you to do is you pick your tool. So let's say I want to use the Move or the highlighter or whatever it is. And once I've selected the tool, I tap on that, and now I can highlight anywhere around without the tools getting in my way. When I'm all done, I tap on the pencil, it brings the tools back. Which, by the way, if you're drawing down by the bottom, you'll see the tools duck away out of my way anyway. So great update there too. Okay, there's the undo and redo buttons. Those are the same as they've always been. Now we're going to get over to a few paid features. So to get the paid version of Seesaw, the first way you can do that is by having an administrator look into purchasing Seesaw for schools, which is, you pay by the student. But if you just want it for your classroom, for I believe it's $120, you can have the paid version in your classroom, and you'll have all these features as well. And I mean, really, for me, totally worth it. Just for a few of the features alone that you get with the paid version, it really makes this your go-to app. All right, so drafts. This is really nice. If your kids are working on a project, before all they could choose is either turn it in or delete it, right? So if you're in the middle of something and you turn it into the teacher has to either approve it and it's not done, or the teacher deletes it, which isn't good either, right? Well, now my kids can tap the draft button, and I can see the draft and the student can see the draft, but the parents can't and no one else in the class can. This allows me to make comments, and I actually have something on my end in addition to the drafts. As the teacher, I have a button that says send back. So if my kids turned it in, and it doesn't look quite done, I can send it back to them to complete. All right, so that's the drafts feature. And then down here is multi-page. So multi-page allows you to make up to 10 pages on one post. So you can see here I've already added 2 pages. Okay, you can add more pages down here, or the 3 little dots allow you to duplicate a page or delete. Now, one of the ways that I use this, let's see, I did a project with my kids where I did different clocks on each page, and then they would go and they would fill in the things or take pictures of the things that they did at that time during the day. Another way I use it is I do 3 duplicate pages of text, and my kids read it once and then twice and then 3 times so I can hear their fluency improve as they reread. Okay, so just some ideas. There's a million ways you can use multi-page. All right, you can get rid of the multi-page by tapping that little arrow. It'll hide it over to the side to give you a little more room. And by the way, multi-page also works if you do activities. So if you share an activity with your students, you can make a multi-page activity that they have to complete and turn back into you, which is just great. So again, that is with the paid version. Okay, well, I hope this gave you kind of an overview of all the great changes that Seesaw made this year. Highly recommend it. I'm not paid by Seesaw or anything like that. I just think for especially younger learners, this app is just tough to beat as an overall go-to app in your classroom. All right, let's just make sure, did I forget anything? I think I got it all. All right, so once again, this is Eric from Teachers Talk in Tech. I hope this video is helpful. See you later.